Henry! Get the others!
Watch over little Margaret.
Get the others!
An arrow buries itself in a boy's skull. He doesn't fall. The man who fired that arrow is the outlaw the whole country sings about, the protector of the weak, the man who prayed 3 times a day, the hero who robbed the rich to feed the poor, Robin Hood. No ballad will ever mention this shot. The distance between legend and truth is only ever a matter of who's willing to tell it. Now that hero is an old man, starving, filthy, barely alive, curled up alone in the wilderness, surrounded by the graves of strangers who came looking for revenge and died instead. But another one is coming, and this time, what they want isn't just his life, it's a child's. If a man who has killed more people than he can count chooses, at the very end, to protect an innocent girl instead of adding her to the pile, does he still have the right to call that redemption? Don't be in a hurry to sentence him. A young woman named Wainwright finds this old man alone in the mountains. He looks half-starved, filthy, and far too tired to be dangerous. She asks whether he has anything to eat, then starts repeating the stories travelers tell about Robin Hood, the noble outlaw who protects the meek, prays 3 times a day, gives stolen money to the poor, and once earned the love of Lady Marian. The old man almost laughs.
He never prayed once in his life. These tales spread across the land, of lives upon lives. You were a murderous brigand, who perhaps cut the throat of a sheriff and a long line of others. People saw meaning where there was none. He was not a hero. He robbed and killed for the joy of it, nothing more.
Those you met, did they say he felt remorse for his crimes?
I suspect he felt tired.
Then Wainwright tries to kill him, but before she could get close, the wind carried her scent over. Wainwright came to avenge her family. Instead, Robin Hood kills her and buries her beside the others who came before. This is what remains of England's greatest outlaw, an aging killer surrounded by the graves of people who believed blood could repay blood, and another debt has already come looking for him. Robin's oldest companion appears in the hills. The world once called him Little John, but he now lives under the name Edward.
Met him on the road 10 summers ago. His brother died, and he was going to grow rye and peas on his brother's land. No one knew Edward's face, so I killed him. Now I am Edward. And Margaret's a good wife. It's a good farm.
What happened?
The family on the land found me out. Took my farm, took my Margaret, tried to take my life. I cannot take back alone what is mine.
It's not yours.
It's my family.
I'm tired, John.
Edward.
I'm tired, Edward.
Robin doesn't want another adventure. He doesn't want a new beginning on the other side of the mountains. He is tired in a way sleep can never fix. But John is the last person left from the life they shared, and John's family is trapped inside the consequences of his crimes. So, Robin agrees to help. John tries to make the coming battle sound like one of their old legends. There may be only 4 or 5 men at the farm. Together, they can defeat them. They will probably die, but it will be an incredible fight, the kind people will sing about. Robin knows better than anyone what songs do to the truth. As they travel, John remembers a famous story about the 2 outlaws meeting a potter. He can't remember whether they stripped the man naked or let him go. Robin tells him there was no potter. The encounter never happened. Somebody invented it, and eventually even John began remembering the lie as part of his own life. If they had met that potter, Robin says, they probably would have killed him. That is the truth beneath the legend. Later, Robin asks John to talk about Margaret. John describes a deeply religious woman who cared for him and tried to teach him to pray. She also taught him to paint decorative borders and portraits.
Margaret's a good wife, with hair that's red like the setting summer sun. She cares for me, and I care for her.
Robin and John reach the farm and begin slaughtering their way through the men holding it. The old outlaws are slower than they once were, but violence is still the one language their bodies remember perfectly. John fights to reach his wife and daughter.
Henry! Get the others!
Watch over little Margaret.
Get the others!
Robin watches the roads and the surrounding land, knowing that one warning could bring an entire family down on them. Then, a boy named Hendry runs for help. Robin picked up his bow and arrow and shot at his head. The arrow does not stop the boy. Hendry keeps moving, carrying Robin's warnings straight back to his family. He reaches them alive, an arrow still buried in his skull, and dies soon afterward. His relatives gather around his body. Another death ceremony begins. Another generation receives a reason to hate Robin Hood. At the farm, John reaches little Margaret, but his wife does not survive the violence. Margaret, the woman whose hair looked like a summer sunset, is killed inside the life John stole for her. The outlaws have taken the property, but the victory lasts only long enough for the dead boy's family to arrive. They set the farm on fire. The raid turns into a siege of smoke, screaming animals, collapsing timber, and men fighting through the flames. One attacker reminds John that he murdered a member of their family 20 winters earlier. These people are not chasing a legend. They know exactly which bodies belong to Robin and John. Robin battles the family's elder father while his strength drains away. John finally kills the old man, but Robin is crushed, stabbed, and broken so badly that the fight he believed would be his last nearly becomes exactly that. John refuses to let him die there. He cauterizes Robin's wound and carries him through the wilderness as late snow begins falling. John has heard stories about a hidden religious house on a remote island. Its prioress is said to possess an almost unnatural gift for healing. If anyone can pull Robin back from death, it is her. Robin does not want to be pulled back. John leaves him at the priory of St. Clement because the surviving family will continue hunting them. He remains senseless for 6 days before waking in a room watched over by Sister Bridget. She asks whether he understands her. He does. Then she asks his name. Robin answers, Randolph. It is one more lie from a man who claims to hate stories. Bridget tells Randolph that she owes him an apology. While delirious with fever, he begged her to let him die, and she refused. Now the fever has broken, but the rest of his body is still ruined. Recovery will be slow, painful, and uncertain. Robin has survived the battle he chose as his ending. Now he must endure a life he no longer wants. The priory is isolated from the mainland. Bridget tells him there is a boat on the western shore, and he is free to leave whenever he becomes strong enough to row it. Until then, he can earn his place by helping with the garden. Robin insists he is not a farmer. He can hunt. Bridget points out that he can barely throw a ball. Eventually, they reach a compromise. Robin may set 6 traps for rabbits, no more, because the island's animal population cannot support it. It is a humiliating assignment for a man whose name once terrified half the country. The priory's caretaker is a leper, whose bandaged face and damaged body make him move even more slowly than Robin. He tends pear trees, apple trees, and elder bushes, carefully explaining when each fruit must be harvested. Robin mocks the work, but the leper refuses to be embarrassed by peace. He tells Robin that moving slowly does not matter here. The island is safe.
That's quite a thing to say.
The leper answers that Bridget is the reason they are protected.
She was like us. She knew great sorrow, great pain, widowed young. But through that sorrow, she found the strength to heal us.
Robin looks at the leper's ruined body and asks whether he feels healed. The caretaker does not pretend that healing means making every wound disappear. He tells Robin about a philosopher imprisoned by a king who planned to torture and execute him. The philosopher had lost his freedom, his possessions, and control over his own death. But there was one thing nobody could reach, his mind. And within his mind, he still possessed God. It is never too late, the leper says, to find peace inside yourself. Robin asks what happened to the philosopher. Naturally, he was tortured and executed. Robin understands that kind of ending. It sounds more honest than salvation. Bridget also speaks to him about the island.
In ages before history, this was a holy site of the ancient druids. They worshipped unknown gods. Worshipped in these woods. Then the Romans came long ago and they sensed the magic of this place, so they built their temples. And people upon people sensed it and they came here to worship. Countless gods, tribe after tribe, who would not even know how to speak to each other. Yet we were all pulled to this place.
Bridget believes there is power here. Robin believes in the power of stories, but not because they are true. Stories can make people commit terrible acts. Then those acts become new stories, and the lies keep feeding themselves. Robin has spent his life believing the world cares only about blood. At the Priory, he begins seeing people who have survived terrible things without turning every injury into a new killing. Then, a frightened little girl reaches the island. Robin recognizes her. She is little Margaret, John's daughter. After leaving Robin at the Priory, John was found and killed by the same family hunting the outlaws. Little Margaret escaped, crossed the water, and reached the one place connected to the last man who knew her father. Then she runs away from the Priory. Robin goes after her. He finds the child alone and terrified, and for one dangerous moment, his old instincts return. If she knows who he is, if she speaks her father's name, every person on the island could become a target.
Say my name.
Randall?
She calls him Randolph. She does not know Robin Hood is standing in front of her. She does not understand that her father was Little John, or that the men who destroyed her family were avenging people John and Robin had murdered. Robin spares her. More than that, he brings her back. Robin starts building a life around the child. He teaches her how to set traps and lets her accompany him through the garden. The work is small, repetitive, and completely unlike the life people celebrate in songs. For Robin, that is exactly why it matters. Little Margaret slowly begins to speak about her father.
Papa said to run. Papa stopped praying. He was angry.
She only remembers fear, fire, and her father trying to protect her. Robin never corrects the picture she carries. He knows John murdered the real Edward, stole his identity, and built a family on another man's grave. He also knows John loved this girl. Both things are true, and neither erases the other. As Robin's body grows stronger, his wounds begin telling him something else. The damage inside him has not truly healed. His strength may return for a few hours at a time, but death is still working through his abdomen. Before that death arrives, another stranger crosses to the island. A young man calls himself Arthur. He carries a serious head wound and claims a bandit attacked him on the road. He also has a letter saying he is searching for a missing niece. Bridget sees another wounded traveler. Robin sees a man whose story has been prepared too carefully. Arthur asks questions about the Priory. He watches little Margaret.
Arthur, do you know how to trap?
Yes.
Good. I need a strong hand. Come.
Robin examines the young man's injury and realizes the blow was delivered by someone strong. The stranger is lucky to be alive, but luck is not the reason he came here. He belongs to Hendry's family. While Robin watches Arthur, the leper's health collapses. On his deathbed, the caretaker asks whether Robin remembers the old story of Guy of Gisborne, the enemy Robin Hood supposedly killed.
There were no Guy of Gisborne. Well, just one of the many tales that passed along.
You really don't remember?
But the leper remembers. He reveals that he is Guy of Gisborne. The man Robin treated as a harmless gardener is one of the enemies left behind by his outlaw years. Guy recognizes Robin even beneath the name Randolph, the age, and the scars. The two men have reached what they once called another life, but there is no heroic duel waiting for them. One is dying in a priory bed, the other can barely walk. Guy asks Robin to protect the garden and everyone living there. He also warns him not to reveal his identity to Bridget. Whatever peace exists on the island depends on the past remaining buried, Robin promises. Then Guy dies, leaving Robin responsible for the fruit trees, the priory, and a child whose father helped create the danger closing around them. Robin decides to deal with Arthur before the young man can act. He takes him across to the mainland, away from Bridget and little Margaret. then demands his real name. Arthur finally admits he is Godwin, the last surviving adult man in Hendry's family. His father and uncles are dead. He has come to complete the obligation they left him. Robin asks how many people Godwin believes he has killed. Then Robin answers the question for himself.
I've killed so many I could not give you a count. For longer than you've been alive, I've been killing the kin of those I killed a lifetime ago. I do not remember in the first, who meant nothing to me at the time, but their brothers and their children, their grandchildren, they remember me. So now I must kill them. Again and again. In different forms, like shades. Again. And again, and it never ceases. It's a curse, Godwin.
Robin asks who remains in the young man's home.
My mother, my aunts, my sisters.
You have a home, Godwin.
Robin tells him to go back to them, sleep in his own bed, share his life with the people who are still breathing. Tell them the blood debt has been paid, even though no amount of blood can truly settle it. For once, Robin has an enemy directly in front of him and does not kill. Godwin walks away without looking back. Robin returns to the priory, having protected little Margaret without adding another body to the chain. But Guy's warning still hangs over him. Robin can preserve that peace by continuing the lie. Instead, he tells her the truth.
I'm Robin the Outlaw. You need to know I'm a monster. I'm not one Randolph. I am the Outlaw. Robin Hood.
He tells Bridget that she must understand what that means. He is a monster. The stories about the charitable hero were lies he created long ago, so fools would follow him through the darkness. He used the legend as a weapon, and other people turned it into faith.
Tell me I should leave. I will go now.
Bridget orders him into bed. As she begins bloodletting to treat him, she reveals why his name means something different to her.
You burned my husband alive. I dreamed that he was already dead, but why else did you bar the door? It felt like a lifetime searching the ashes of our home. And he looked so small. This curled up in the corner with so much of him gone. But as much as I dream, I know he was alive. Because until the very end, he had wrapped himself around our children.
Robin Hood did not simply destroy strangers. He created the grief that shaped the woman now holding the blade against his arm. Bridget opens his vein. For a moment, she can let him die as repayment. Nobody else needs to know. The killer who burned her family is already weak, and his blood is running into the cloth beneath him. Then Bridget stops her, Sanel. She has spent years caring for the sick, the abandoned, the disfigured, and the hunted. Robin's violence destroyed her first life, but she refused to let that violence decide what her second life would become. Robin drifts into a dream and sees little John again. John promises to rescue him, save little Margaret, and take them somewhere they can begin a new life. Robin asks him to describe his wife one more time.
She has hair. Red like the setting sun. Like the setting summer sun.
John asks whether Robin has finally found the death he was searching for. Robin says he is ready to finish it. When he wakes, Bridget is still beside him. She has never taken a life. Robin tells her that death does not have to look like murder. It can be like pruning a flower whose season has ended. He asks her to heal him. Bridget cuts him again, but Robin takes responsibility for what follows. He will not let her close the wound. He will not allow his name to bring another Godwin, another Wainwright, or another burning family to the island. The life Bridget saved does not belong to her, and she owes him nothing. Robin chooses to let it run out. Before he dies, Robin tells the child about her father.
Your father's name was John. I knew him for many years. Before you were your papa. I met him crossing the bridge one day over a rushing river. He was stubborn, He would not yield. Oh, not to any man. Not even to me. So we wrestled on that bridge, striking back and forth. I whacked him on the side of the head. He struck me in the stomach, and I wobbled on that bridge. Splash. He knocked me in me bum. Once I dragged myself out, drenched to the bone. We embraced.
He does not tell her about the real Edward, the stolen farm, the murdered families, or the final siege. He gives her the story people were always meant to hear. He makes her promise never to reveal John's name. The people outside are angry with her father, which means they will also be angry with her. The secret must remain between them. Little Margaret promises. Robin guides her toward the window. He tells her to find the line where the water meets the sky. She places the arrow against the string and pulls. Her body will never be completely still. It will sway with every breath. Robin tells her not to fight that movement. Feel the rhythm. Hold the arrow until the right moment. And when the moment comes, do not force yourself to release it. Simply stop holding on. Little Margaret watches the horizon. Behind her, in a quiet room far from every battlefield and every song, Robin Hood is finally gone.